Yeah, so we have three layers, E and T and L. So E in the sense sources, we have the different sources here, database, XML and flat file. So on the target also we have the different sources are there here. So in between the source to target we have one more layer here, transformation. So if you see the image, we have the multiple transformations are available in the Informatica Power Center tool. So we discussed earlier, right? We have the client and server components. So these four are the client components. We have the four symbols here, R, D, W, M. Even in the real time also it will be the same functionality and the same components it will be available. So these four are the client components. So if you install server component, we don't see any these four components. If you install client, then only we can see these four components. Okay. So R defines repository manager, and D defines mapping designer, and W defines workflow manager, and M defines workflow monitor. Okay. So we have the intermediate layer, we have the domain, that is an integration service and repository service. So these like can be created in the administration page, in the Informatica administration page. So we are creating the repository and integration services for the corresponding whatever we installed. So here we have a doubt. So what is the domain here? So domain in the sense collection of the nodes or combination of all the nodes. Again we have a doubt here, what is a node? Node is nothing but the system representation of a machine. So for every machine you have the system name, right? That is the device name, it was there in this PC. If you go to here, see here, this is device name. So for every system we have one device name, it will be the node name is node underscore device name. So that is the definition called node is nothing but a logical representation of a machine. We are representing every machine with the device name, that is the node underscore device name. Okay. So in the domain, under the domain we have the nodes, and we have the integration services, we have the repository services. So once you install, you can get a more idea on it. So we have the admin console here. By using the administrator console, we can create the integration and repository services. And one more important thing, not only is an ETL developer, we have other roles also. ETL administration role also we have, like ETL testing also we have role. Admin role what and all in the sense, so the administrator has to provide the access for the corresponding repositories or corresponding users, or if any password needs to be changed or need to be upgrade, any versions needs to be upgrade, any fixes has to be do it. So the administrator will be taking care of all the things. As an ETL developer, we don't have access to provide from one user to other user the access and revoking the access. Only the admin console we have that. So we have the Informatica admin team we have, like how in the every organization we have the IT service desk, right, or help desk. Similarly, we have the Informatica admin team. So whatever we are facing any issues in the Informatica level, or any space issues or all any password issues or any upgrade issues, the admin will be taking care. Okay. So sometimes in interview they will ask, so what is an Informatica Power Center and what are the components are available? Or sometimes they will ask explain the architecture of the Informatica Power Center. So Informatica Power Center contains two-tier component, client and server. Again, client contains four components. So individual component, individual definitions it will be there. So going forward we'll be discussing. So in the administration, so we are creating the integration and repository services. Okay. So this is the architecture of the Informatica Power Center. So any doubts here? No doubts. I think so. We have Informatica document. Where it is? Yes, this is the Informatica document. This is the previous lesson. So this is the Informatica Power Center. Okay. So and again one more thing. So we have ETL tools are plenty in the market. So ETL tools like Informatica Power Center. So we'll start here for discussing ETL tools. Informatica Power Center. Informatica integration. Cloud services. Informatica. Data quality. Informatica. Master data management. Informatica. Big data management. So we have IBM data stage. So IBM data stage. And the next is Abincio. ClickView. ClickSense. MSBI. Cognos.
Can you spell it out 789 once again, please?
Abincio.
Okay.
So ClickView. ClickSense. So MSBI, Cognos, and Talent.
Okay. Thank you.
So these are the different ETL tools in the market. Okay. So out of that, so we are discussing Informatica Power Center, and advanced for that is cloud services here. But compared to cloud services, the Power Center will give the more efficiency than the cloud services. Still, the cloud services have some performance issues and some bugs are there. So that out of these tools, the Power Center will be in the market. So now we are discussing here Informatica Power Center out of these tools. So again, Informatica Power Center also is one of the two ETL tools. So these are all the 12 tools. So the objective is some extracting different sources and apply some logics and load the data to targets. All the 12 tools will functional will be the same, but every individual tool have the individual components, individual definitions. It will be there. Okay, the interface will be different. So if you see here Informatica Power Center, so it is used to extract the different sources and apply the logics using various transformations and write the data to the targets. It is a two-tier architecture, that is client, server, and client. Client contains four components. So repository means R, mapping designer means D, workflow means W, workflow monitor means M. So we have the different versions in the Informatica again. So 10.2 and 10. So 10.5 something it will be there. Okay. Okay. So we already listed here the tools. It's my bad. So we have already tools discussed. Anyway, can ignore. So we have four client components, right? See, we have four client components. So repository manager, mapping designer, workflow manager, and monitor. So and we have the different terms in Informatica. Okay, so we discussed what is domain and what is node, and we have session and we have workflow and we have worklet and mapping, maplet, repository and integration server. So these are the different terms, right? So which we saw few of the terms in the architecture of the Informatica. Still will be covered going forward few of the components. Now if you see the client components, we have four client components. Remember everyone. So one is repository manager. So what it will do, the repository manager? So it maintain the metadata information, that is whatever the mappings created and workflows created, these two component information will be maintained in the repository manager. That is nothing but metadata. And also the use of the repository manager is used to creating the folders, and we can import or export the objects from one environment to other environment. Okay, that is the main object of the repository manager here. Or we can use from one folder to other folder. So the designer, so it is used to import the sources and target definitions. And this is very important. So all the development will be happening in the designer itself. So I said right, so we can import the source and target definitions, and it is used to create the mappings, maplets using different transformations. Again, designer contains five components. Again, so this is completely theoretical. Once you install the Informatica Power Center, then we can convert the theoretical into the practical. Okay. Again, the designer contains five components: source analyzer, target designer, mapping, maplet, transformation developer. So again, we discussed individual components here. So source analyzer, what it will do? Sorry. The source analyzer objective is to import the source definitions like relational, flat files, XML, CSV, COBOL, etc. In the target also, we can import any definitions according to our requirement. Mapping designer means whatever we imported the source and target definitions, we are creating the mappings. So which are imported the corresponding sources and target definitions using different transformations. So after creating the mappings, first validate the mapping, that is control S. In the sense we need to save the mapping. Then it will give the message like either it is a valid or invalid. If it is a valid, then only we can go further. Otherwise, so we cannot create any other workflows or any session. Okay. So in the maplet designer, again it is complete theoretical, guys. So just to have an idea what it will do exactly individual components. So once you install, so we can come to know that practically. The maplet designer in the sense, so mapping designer, right? Whatever the mappings created in mapping designer, so we can reuse in maplet designer. So it is a reusable component or object if any mapping is created once, and if you want to reuse, so we have to create a maplet. And again we have the transformation developer. It is also a reusable component. So if you want to reuse that, we can reuse, but most of the times we are not using transformation developer, we are not at all using. So we'll use maplet and mapping designer. Okay. So now we completed two components, that is repository manager and mapping designer. Mapping designer again contains like five components: source analyzer, target, mapping, maplet, transformation. Okay. So the repository manager is objective is to create the folders and we can maintain the metadata. But in the designer we have five components. Individual component we have the definitions, importing the source and target definitions, and creating the mappings using different transformations, and we have the reusable mappings also in a maplet. The next component is workflow manager. So we have three options, right? Four was there. RDWM. W refers workflow manager. So it is used to create the workflows and sessions. In the designer, it is used to create the mappings and maplets. In the workflow manager, create the workflows and sessions. Again, workflow manager contains three components: workflow designer, worklet, and task developer. Again, workflow it is used to creating the workflows and sessions for the corresponding mappings created in the designer. Whatever you created the mappings, right? For the corresponding mappings, we are creating the workflows in the workflow manager. And we have worklet designer here. So if you want to reuse the workflows, we can create a worklet in a worklet designer. Again, task developer, if we have the different tasks are available in the Informatica. If you want to reuse those tasks, we can create the task developer. So these are the different tasks available in the workflow level: session task, link task, assignment task, timer task, decision task, email task, command event. Okay, so I missed here one more component, that is workflow monitor. It is used to check the workflow and session logs. It contains different job status like success, failed, aborted, stopped, scheduled. Okay, so we have the different. So workflow monitor objective is to check the workflow and session logs. It contains different job status like success status, failed status, aborted, stopped, and schedule. Okay, that is the main objective of the workflow monitor. So now we covered four components. So we'll revise again. So client have four components: repository manager and mapping designer, workflow manager, and monitor. So the repository manager, the objective is to create the folders and maintain metadata information. The metadata means we are able to maintaining the mapping and session informations and workflow information in the repository manager. And if you want to export the your mapping and workflows into other environment, we can do it in a repository manager. Again, the designer is used to for development purpose to create the mappings. So before creating the mappings, we need to import the source and target definitions. So here the five components are there in the designer. If you coming to workflow designer, sorry, workflow manager, so it is used to creating the workflows and sessions for the corresponding mappings whatever we created in the mapping designer. And we have the different types of session in the tasks available in the workflow manager. Those are session task, link task, assignment, timer, decision, command task. And last component, monitor. So the monitor name itself, it was your monitoring means checking the job status whether it is a success or failure. So if you aware of the, so the major important thing is the workflow monitor.